Good morning. Happy Monday. So I have been guided that now is the time we need to start sharing more wisdom around ancient healing practices that need to really be brought into modern day. So modernizing this ancient technology for our benefit. Essentially, everybody is becoming more energetically aware. They notice more on a sensory perspective of how their environment influences them. So this also includes how, at the moment, I'm working abroad, so I'm in my hotel room at the moment, how that environment influences me, my energy field. Obviously, the space that I've been sleeping in is also the space that I am doing some work in. So knowing that they are two spaces that I need to keep very, very clear, because obviously when you sleep, that's your most kind of vulnerable state. And also when I'm working, I need to ensure that it remains clear and high vibrational so that I'm not feeling heavy, I'm not feeling distracted. I have like lots of vibrancy and energy so that I can be as creative and as, feel as good as possible whilst I'm in my day-to-day. So to give some background, I developed some tools really by being in the lion's den. So I spent 22 years working for global investment banks, and I was on for most of those sales and trading floors. I was in a client relationship role where I would have been going off to pitches. I was traveling abroad to clients' offices. I was the one that had to go in and do the reviews. So, you're having lots of challenging conversations sometimes. You are managing in an environment that is highly energetically charged. People are stressed. There's a lot of pressure, and also constantly walking into other people's buildings, offices, and on different grounds, so different land. So when you are someone that is like myself, energetically sensitive, I have abilities to be able to, sense what has been happening in certain properties, be able to read a room, shall we say, and also what's going on in people's energy fields. So knowing that when somebody is overwhelmed, stressed, anxiety, maybe they've had some illness, we've all got something. At this time, everybody is really in a very unique position that we haven't been in before, yet we're also being required to step in and function like it's normal and be really, really productive when we've essentially got this landscape of stuff going on in the world that we consume, through all the social media, through the news. We've got our own personal things happening. We have, resource worries perhaps around money, what's going on in our business. The whole landscape is unstable. So what happens is we can end up like very, very reactive in the way that we are living our lives. So we get up and we're straight away. There's a thought loop that's going and it's stimulating a level of anxiety. It might automatically put you into a state of fight or flight. So you find yourself kind of running into your day, just trying to get through it. And when you come from that space, you will find that everything that responds to you in that energy will be slightly off kilter, meaning that you will be kind of pushing your energy to get through the day rather than actually clearing your energy, being centered, and everything is responding to us energetically. So if we have pulled our energy back in, if our energy field is clear, if we are really grounded, if we've got very anchored in back into the body and how we feel, that is felt by others around us. They respond to our energy. It will come across in all your presentations, in your pitches, even when you're typing your messages, your copy. It all has an energetic charge. So consider this morning when I woke up, how was I feeling? Was there any tightness in certain areas of my body? Do I take time to warm my voice up before I'm suddenly on a phone and speaking to clients and doing stuff? How can I incorporate some hacks that will help me be aware of energetic influence that is pulling me off kilter, And how can I implement some energy hygiene for my home and for myself so that I can actually start to enter my day from my own set point and intention of what I want to approach and interact with, and people respond to that. Have you ever, to give you an indication, when we meet people that are quite clearly, maybe angry, or they're holding on to something, we know that they're not really that present with us. We can feel it. And we can often feel the energy that, I'm fine, but you can feel there is an energy in their field. Often it's not just from today, it's a culmination of everything that's been going on. And because we haven't really been taught how to process our emotions, it comes out in different ways, and it is always reflected in what is happening in the energy field. Everything that's happening inside of us emotionally is affecting the 7 layers of our morphogenic field, the different layers of our energy field. So it's very easy to actually read somebody and see what's going on with them, because it is always there in the field. So these might be things that somebody that is neurodivergent, highly sensitive person, empath, they are actually often more sensory aware. They might not be able to track into exactly what's going on, but they can feel it. And that will mean that we are responding and reacting to other people's energy, which often means defense. We close our and collapse our energy field in. But then if we are needing to be in a position where we're seen, we're visible, where we are going into spaces where we need to be the thought leader, somebody that is going to be needing to have big energy, we can't come at that from collapsed. We can't come at that from all our fear and anxiety and then suddenly get on the stage and suddenly expect to be something different. The old way of fake it till you make it may well have worked when people were not energetically as sensitive as they are now, but it literally is like it's there in the field, it's felt. We can't mask it. You might be able to mask it in the way that you're showing up, but people are feeling something that's incongruent. And this is where we're moving into this energetic awareness. It's called like the era of frequency. So about a year ago, I attended a festival of frequency. It was one of its first kind, and really at kind of the high end of wellness. And they were talking about things like energy medicine, people beginning to practice different techniques in modern day so that they can function fully, mind, body, soul in balance. And that this is not something outside of ourselves, it's something that we take responsibility for. So when, we've got a lot of fear, a lot of misunderstanding around energy and consciousness, it's kind of been hidden. So there's a lot of judgment around perhaps, more of the spiritual side of things. That's either seen as woo-woo, or it's religious, or it's fear-based, or something in that realms. Quantum physics and quantum biology is backing everything that has already been through the ancient texts. It's already been through, the yogic principles. It's already been through, some of the pieces through religion. They're saying the same thing. It's just in a slightly different angle. So when we know that, we're not going backwards. We can't deny it. And I invite you to consider, regardless of attempting through your mind to understand energy, it's an existential experience. It's actually more of a felt experience, and tapping into intuitive awareness of being able to link, okay, wait a minute, I've just been in that person's space and now I've got a headache and I'm feeling really clouded and I've got anxiety, I'm feeling fear. And actually that person coming to me in that energetic state, I now feel like I've taken something on. Now, I retrained many, many years ago in Gestalt therapy, and the way that we had to do our training was existential, meaning we had a whole year of 14 people that literally came together to project all of their unconscious stuff as an experiment, is the way that Gestalt is taught, so that we would see all of our unconscious stuff, our unconscious bias, our projections against each other. So it was a way of understanding ourselves, because we can kind of see what everyone else is doing and we're doing the same, to understand ourselves better, But the piece that was missing was there was no energetic hygiene. 5 years after, even I'd completed that course, I'd qualified, I was still working in the bank at the time, I was still energetically plugged into those people. There was still an energetic charge with those people, even 5 years later. I've never seen them. They weren't in my life anymore. So energy doesn't just like disappear. Just because we move to another country, just because we change houses, just because we change jobs, we are attracting everything that is within our energy field. So that is also what is held on a through the biohologram, through the body. So we have frequencies of trapped emotion and old dense energies and fear that's not been able to be processed. So when we go into an environment that holds a similar resonator, we get triggered. So our triggers are often basically things from the past that are coming up within us. But this is where, rather than trying to, from that space, trying to do the digging work, I invite you to consider one of the best things you can do when you're triggered or in environments that are perhaps, my gosh, that was all a bit intense, and oh, he was very negative, and I'm actually feeling dizzy after being in that person's space. That's your invitation to go and reset your energy, and you will often find the anxiety that you were feeling, and sometimes actually kind of unbalanced, or the other thing that happens is you feel completely drained. So you'll feel like you will often feel, in an environment that is low vibration, you will be eating a lot more. So my clients that are going back into the offices now, that have been, working from home, now being in the presence of all these different people in an environment where there's a lot more going on, their sensitivity means that they are finding that because there is naturally more energy being pulled from them, that they are getting, they're eating more. They're feeling that they need to have these sugary snacks because we need to get the energy back somehow. But it's knowing that we can clear our energy, reset our own field, and that itself is going to give us the vibrancy that we need to move through our day. So this is something that we go on our own personal journey to discover ourselves through. And I created a toolkit so that when I was going in between client meetings, when I was speaking to all these different people, I didn't want them to be interacting with the 200 people I've just interacted with on a tube, commuting into London. I didn't want them to be feeling the energy of the meeting that I've just been in, where we're talking about stuff that doesn't need to energetically be in the space. If I was going for a date, I don't want to be dragging like all the calls I've had for the day, the stress, the worry, into that date in my energy field, because they're not going to feel me, and I'm not going to be my most relaxed, vibrant self. They're going to be picking up on all this other stuff. So when we begin to understand, it's almost like you wouldn't go to work without brushing your teeth. You probably wouldn't go on a date without brushing your teeth before walking in. This is energetic hygiene that we need to be taking a deeper level of awareness on. And I created a toolkit so that I could, between my meetings, I'd pop off to the ladies and I would do a 6-minute reset. And it's something that I've taken 4,500 people through since 2020. It's a simple kit. I'm going to put the link actually, because I think this is really important. When we are in fight or flight chaos, there's two things going on. One, nervous system is activated. So we need to clear the field and reset the nervous system. We also need to understand that as energetic beings, we are calling in experiences to show us about things within ourselves that are unconscious. So that might be old belief patterns. It might be we're being triggered by somebody's success, perhaps. And where does that come from? So that's the deeper piece. That's the know thyself. And quite frankly, you need to go and work with somebody that can see what you can't see in yourself, so that that blind spot is witnessed, and the energetic work to heal it, clear the energy out of your field, but also integrate that part of yourself that is animating through you, so you can change the beliefs, so that you can rise, so that you can be the person that's experiencing the success. Everything is giving us information about ourselves in every circumstance. We can get really angry about, the toxic boss and the this, that, the other, but they're showing us something. They are showing us, depending on our layer of kind of awareness and our inner work and our ability to know the difference between what is ours and theirs, they are showing us something. If we're saying that person makes me feel, they are often accessing a part of yourself, even if their behavior is not it's not good, it's you know, it is toxic behavior, they're not communicating well, they're whatever. Yes, there's that there, but there's something else that person's come in to show us something in ourselves. Is it actually hitting a wound of unworthiness? So the reason I'm triggered by this is actually maybe there's a little part of me that, you know, felt like that in childhood. Maybe there's a little part of me that is doubting myself and believes it, so it links into my self-worth. Perhaps actually what they're saying is true, and actually all of this is an invitation that gives us an opportunity to do the deeper pieces. And what happens when we clean that up is often those people just don't come into our field. They don't respond to us in the same way. And the dynamic between us and them changes because we have changed the inner frequency set point, if we want to call it that. When we actually do the energetic work and also have very strong energetic boundaries, those people not available for it. And that same goes with what we call the energy vampires. And those that have a patterning of, I would say, narcissism or, you know, psychopathology. So they will often look for they can read you like a predator does. They can feel the weakness in you, the wound, and they will know how to destabilize you. And it's usually at that point that they will push for choices and decisions and you to say yes to something. And because of the intensity of their energy, and it is like a very intense coming into the field energy, they are using that deliberately to be able to get what they want. So when we are not ready to play that game because we know who we are, we can hold our field, we never make decisions in a bullied scenario like that. We are comfortable in setting assertive boundaries in a very calm way, and we understand what they're coming from, what version of self is acting through, why they're needing to do that. Ultimately, my work is also to help you see the wounds in others and why they would be responding to you in a certain way. So we begin to see this dance. It's a two-way street, but we can actually use the triggers for gold. We can use it for our advantage. We can use it for our growth. We can use it to also highlight, you know what? I think I've outgrown this environment. What I'm being shown is I'm doing this inner work. I can see my vibrancy. I can see the possibilities. And I'm beginning to attract other people that are creating new things for themselves. But I'm not really seeing that in the people around me. I'm not seeing a growth mindset. I'm not seeing the out-of-the-box thinking. I'm not seeing excitement about change and creation. And when we start doing more of our inner work, we desire to be around other people who are on a similar path. And when we shift our beliefs, our inner frequency changes, our inner set point changes. So when we've got lots of funky subconscious beliefs, which we all have, when we start to work through that stuff, it actually affects our frequency on a energetic set point. So that means that naturally we're going to be vibrating differently. We're going to feel different. Other people, we're going to start to attract others that hold new, more positive, abundant beliefs. So when this belief work literally is how you can start to unpick really why you are feeling the way you feel, shifting the energetics, changing the mindset and the belief work. So it's almost like we do energetics core first. Only from that point and clear energy field do we then start to reprogram new belief systems. And from that point of view, that's what we're manifesting from. We're manifesting from a higher vibrational set point that has been changed at core. So it allows us to essentially align to the new possibilities, not tethered by the lack, the scarcity, or the shoulds or the programming that we've been holding that may not even be ours. It's just what we thought was possible because that's all we've seen or that's all we've been surrounded by. And especially for women, we're really going through a huge awakening of our self-worth, understanding how much of ourselves are we holding back and suppressing. And actually, the way that I've operated has worked to a degree. I've learned a lot from it. I've learned that I can be very tenacious and I can get things done, but it's maybe come at a cost. And maybe my health is showing up now is issues, or my adrenals, or I've got hormonal imbalances, or I'm feeling burnt out. And these are the markers almost to show you there is an energetic imbalance. And when you start to heal those pieces, everything shifts with your energy and everything starts to shift in your outer reality. Meaning you might have had a lot of conflict with somebody in the past, even if they're in your kind of like sphere of contact. When these pieces are healed, the relationships will change as well. So when I'm working with clients that are going through transformation in their lives, they might be going through a divorce, a job change, career change, massive reevaluation of their lives. Like, who am I and what do I want? Like, what's my purpose? I really, the world seems like it's blowing up. So like, I'm not going to sit here and say I did nothing. I'm going to step forwards. That's an initiation. That's an initiation into our own perception of our own power and ability to be able to step out of really the boxes we've been sat in and to start radiating as the living embodiment of the change we want to see. That's big work. That's brave work. And that's what many of us are being called to bring our uniqueness, not from our wounds, not from a perspective of trying to achieve something, that is out of success. It's like, how can I give back? How can I create meaningful change? How can I create an environment and a life for myself and my family where there's more happiness and joy? How can I show up in like to my kids that they're not seeing me frazzled and overwhelmed and drained and coping, that they actually get to see a mum who thrives, a mum who sets healthy boundaries, a mum who actually knows that if she's in balance and more harmonious in how she feels, her kids are actually energetically connected into you until they're age 7. So your children are responding to your nervous system. Your children are responding to your energy field. So the more that we're off kilter, it will affect our children. And you'll see this in sleep patterns. You will see this in behavioral issues. You will see this in, because they're looking to you, because you are their energetic entrainment of essentially what they learn through their own nervous system, what is safe in the world and what to expect. So this is big work. This isn't just like, how can I, go in and get the pitch done and make the sale. This is affecting all parts of our lives. So energy hygiene is really about another layer of self-responsibility and ownership. So we're going to do something now. I've kind of given like ancient, modern, and also this is a toolkit. This is something that you can experiment with. So obviously energy, I can see energy. I see the colors, the waveforms. I can track energy. Not everyone can, but we want to understand, how could I, if I know these things come up, how might I identify if there's some negative energy around me? So negative energy can be like the evil eye, that somebody is got jealousy. They've got a strong emotion. They're triggered. So their triggers in seeing you or your business or whatever else is going on. And this can be a member of staff. This could be a family member. It doesn't matter. It's indiscriminate. We are all doing this until we actually do our inner work to understand what parts of ourselves are showing up. And what this means is that other people's energy can drain ours. It can make us feel very confused. It can actually block our money flow. It can block our business. So depending on how many people have this energy towards you, given that we are much more visible online now, you will notice that when you are using these social media platforms, that energy is influencing your pages and yourself. And this is something that when I'm working with my clients, I do something called a quantum business session. I go in and clear the stuff on their websites, their business pages, and them before we start any of the deeper work, because there's no point doing money work when you've got all of this entanglement that's affecting flow. It's affecting the ability to connect with new clients in a way that is going to create that energetic exchange of money. So when we're looking at things in that way, it's like, how can I take better energy hygiene protocols for myself and for my business and for anything really that's in connection to that? So this is including like energetic devices, your inboxes, and also the workspace, whatever that might be for you. So it is obviously got a lot of depth, but for today's perspective, I want you to consider that a way that you can bring something that's a bit of a test into modern day. We're going to do something called an egg cleanse. So you might be like, what is she talking about? So an egg cleanse is literally that. So I'm in a hotel and I literally went and bought eggs. I've got salt here, which I just bought from the little shop. I've got some lemon that I got from breakfast yesterday. I also went to a little shop and got a little candle. I bought in a yoga place that I went to some sage. You can get this on Amazon. I'm going to pop my Amazon link, and you can, there's lots of energy hygiene stuff. So rather than you try to figure out what it all is, you can just download what's in the shop. So what we're looking for here is, this is the result of the egg cleanse that I did earlier. So you will see that there's like the way that the egg goes into the water, there's like cobwebs that are going up. So that is negative energy. So I did this as a little pre-test this morning before I had done any other energy clearing protocols. So it's kind of showing me that, and I set an intention. It's not actually that bad, but there's obviously some, you know, energetic stuff. I'm in a hotel, you know, there's something I just need to be aware of. And what I would do is, that has cleared some of my energy, but then I'll go and do the particular protocols that I talked about to actually get that, because that is showing that there's somebody's energy trying to come into my field. The cobwebs are showing some confusion, some emotional stuff, and it's showing that there's jealousy energies. We can see this in the egg. There's different readings for different outcomes of what it actually means. So knowing that I've got, okay, a bit of visibility there, I'll go in and do one of my deeper clearings. That will go. I will set up my field so that I'm ready to essentially follow on with my day without interference from other people's stuff. If I woke up and I've had nightmares, weird dreams, or I'm waking up with a repeating thought, worry, that frequency is very low. It's also going to attract in lower energies, spirits as well. Whilst we sleep, in our day-to-day, we get entangled with other people's energy. So we want to make sure that we are clearing that before we tackle our day, because then we're coming at it from, not from the fear, not from lots of other people's energy sending us negative thoughts that then actually weakens our energy field, makes us doubt ourselves, because we are literally, if it's in our energy field, it's affecting our thoughts, it's affecting our feelings. We know that our thoughts, belief, and feelings affect our frequency, affect how we attract, affect how we manifest. So manifestation, a lot of people might go, oh, you know, it's just all woo-woo, you know, rubbish. Consider you're manifesting every single day. The person that chose to create a timeline where they are getting up, looking after their mental health, physical health, clearing their energy, giving themselves some good nutrition, they're creating a higher energetic set point than someone that gets up, runs into their day, is all in chaos, the house is a mess, they feel overwhelmed, they're not really stopping, they're kind of running in, almost like just trying to run into their day. It's a very different energetic set point, but it creates stress webs. So that means that our home and our environments, depending on how we've been living, hold like an imprint of all of the stuff that's been going on in our field and our energy and what we've been thinking. So property realignment, if you've had a divorce, illness, sickness, bereavement, or something big energetically has happened in your home, really important to get that energy cleared out of the house, because that is going to create an imprint and you're responding to that still. So when we clear that out of the field, it no longer needs to influence your day-to-day or everybody else in the house as well. So the egg piece is interesting. So it's in many different cultures. It's a shamanic ritual. It is right the way back to kind of Mesopotamia. So we're talking like Babylon. We've got loads of practices that bring in divination with eggs, that bring in spiritual cleansing with eggs. So it's seen that when this is utilized as a spiritual tool, which is what we're doing, we're setting our intention with it, it will extract energy from stuff around us. Eggs will absorb energy. So what I've done with this already, so we're going to set the intention. So this is really simple stuff that literally I bought all of these things whilst I was away. We're going to light a candle, which I would advise you do each day anyway. And you are literally setting an intention to bless your day with divine light, divine peace, divine tranquility. And we're going to send that out with intention to all that we meet today. Everybody else gets some of that energy. That's the set point that we are with our voice. We're commanding that that is the experience that we desire for today. We're setting our intention. Very important. Energy follows intention. When we start speaking out loud, saying this stuff. Our words have power. So we're setting the intention that that is our set point. That's what we desire our day to be like. Something else, a bit of sage. Sage basically balances negative and positive ions in the space. When we set an intention to burn sage, we are essentially doing that process. I'm not going to have too much of that going on, actually, just because I'm going to just quickly pop this out. I don't want the room to get too smoky. But the point being that having something like that with you, even when you get home from work, sage yourself, put your clothes in the wash, go and have a shower. That's a really good way to clear both your kind of energy field, because the clothes are holding whatever you've been interacting with. The sage clears the etheric field, the first layer of your etheric field. Anything that we get as a physical illness must first come through the energy field. So when we start doing these practices, we can see improvements in our health, our mental health, our physical health, our digestion. So this is not just, a fanciful thing. We're beginning to operate as more of who we actually are. So a bit of the sage. Sage obviously just clears the field. We set the intention that we can ask, sacred sage, please remove any low vibrational frequencies. Normally I have the door open, but they've got music playing out there. So you would open a window and you would go around in a clockwise direction in each room into all the corners. Really important to do this. If your children have had bad dreams, open a window, change the bed sheets, get around the room with sage clockwise. And any clutter, stuff that's like harboring any kind of dust, get it all cleaned up, boxed up out the way. The less there are space for just hoarding of stuff, that lowers the frequency. Therefore, you attract in lower energies. So again, this is like savvy stuff. So this, I've actually already cleansed this, but I cleansed it first with the sage. And then I used the salt, which I literally just took a handful of salt over the sink. And I covered the egg in the salt, ran it under cold water. Then I squeezed the lemon over the egg. And whilst I'm doing this, I'm setting the intention out loud that this egg is being cleansed of any negative energy, any energy that is not of love. We're removing it from the egg because we're creating this tool. And then what we're going to do is this is the egg cleansed. We are going to blow on it. So we would blow on it. And we're going to set the intention that this clears all negative, bad energies, any psychic attack, evil eye, bad spirits, negative energy being sent to me, or emotional energy that I'm generating, anything that is affecting my health, wealth, and happiness. So what we then do is we're setting that intention. So we have programmed the field of the egg that this is the intention of why we're doing it. When this is complete, I set the intention that all this negative energy will be removed from my field. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have just programmed and set the intention, energy follows intention, with the egg. This is now a sacred object being used for this reason. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the egg, I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to rub it. I've seen some teachings say clockwise, I say anti-clockwise. When we go anti-clockwise over the energy points, we are removing, we're extracting. So we want to be extracting any lower energy. So we're going to start around the third eye. So we're just doing this, and you're going to do it over your crown, in particular back of the head, causal template, and you're literally rubbing this egg over your eyes, nose, face, and your throat in particular. If you're somebody that's got to speak, somebody that's got an important message, somebody that's got to be heard, and you keep on finding that your throat is getting suppressed, and you keep on feeling like you're being choked, do this and start to notice there might be some lower energies that don't want your story or message getting out there. When we've got important things to say and women that need to share things that haven't been shared before, we may even have some ancestors that don't want us to be sharing the message because they want to keep us safe. So we're going to do it over the hands. The hands is the giving and receiving. We're going to do this essentially all over, but we're going over the throat, the heart. So all of the heart is how we feel. The magnetic field from your heart is essentially huge. That's how we feel. So we're just going to literally I'm just going to do this very quickly. You can imagine you want to essentially ensure that the central channel, that you've gone all the way over it. You might want to do under your arms, you know, like everything that could hold some negative energy, base of the spine. If you can reach like the back of your neck, over your back, and then you would stand up and you would do the backs of your legs, do underneath your feet. And then, so you're literally getting this everywhere. And then once you've completed that, you'll have ready a glass of water. And this glass of water is just room temperature. You don't need to bless it or do anything particular with it. But by now we've got our egg that's held this energy. We're going to pop this in here. So what I've done is I've literally just cracked that egg. And you'll see that immediately it's got all of this kind of like cloudedness initially. So you need to leave it for a few minutes. Oops. So you'll leave it for a few minutes and allow it to settle. So any bubbles that come into it are showing you negative energy that's been it's been captured by the egg, essentially, because the egg is in your energy field is huge. It's an electromagnetic field coming out through the heart in every layer of your energy field. So when we go and do this kind of work, the egg is actually trying to extract as much as it can. Now, something weird happened to me the other day. It actually broke. So if that happens, you clean up all the egg, throw it away down the toilet, get rid of the actual eggshells and everything, and you get it out of your house. So we're going to give it a few minutes. So interestingly, what's happening here, we've got some, we've got kind of little bubbles. The little bubbles are picking up on low, like negative energy, essentially. So we don't need to know the story of the negative energy. We just need to observe what's going on here. And it does take a little bit of time to settle. Now, I actually did this with two people that I went and did a breathwork event with at the weekend. And they hadn't cleared their energy after doing the breathwork event. And so I thought this is really interesting. And one of them is having a repeated pattern of money flow. Something's shifted, something's changed. And, you know, she was being very successful. Anyway, the egg showed two very strange kind of white pieces, like thick threads, like cords out of the egg. Two. So that meant it was showing us that somebody has plugged into her energy field. It was showing all of these like threads, like this white, kind of look like big needles coming out. It was showing like negative energy, people not wishing badly against her, negative energy towards her. And it was showing, there was also some little brown and red specks. So there was some very, low vibrational energies that did not want her to, be successful. And this is coming through different people in her life. It was showing her that on some level, just by doing that work, that she had another level of validity, that where she was, what she was feeling, and the fact that she felt like, I feel like I've been cursed. This was giving her some insight into, yes, that is happening. So curses happen on many different levels. It is ancient. I mean, if you look back in even go down to somewhere like there's Roman baths in Bath, you've got curse tablets, people making their declarations of hatred towards somebody else and sending it off to the goddess and hoping that she goes and does something about it. It's age old, and it's powerful. Why? Because as I mentioned, if somebody is projecting all their unconscious anger and making the problem you, or there's been a disagreement for whatever reason, and that energy of blame and anger and wishing someone really bad, experience, that has potency and power. And if that individual on some intrinsic level, because you're already connected, they have access to you, you're more likely to allow them into your energy field because you know them. If they are also, there's maybe a belief there that you are holding that, that you deserve, you don't deserve all the good stuff, that on some level you're not worthy of it. When we are not really strong in those very strong belief sets of ourselves, our energy field will be more likely to accept a curse. Now, that's just really unconscious projections or somebody being angry. And even social media, we've got loads of projections of people's triggered selves, comparing themselves and all of their stuff being projected against people. We still get that into our energy field, even if it's going through a computer. Then we have the other level where somebody is actively doing, I would call it like spell workings. And that can go on a, you know, on many different layers of what that is. In the work that I do, ancestral curses, money curses, people literally paying other people to do spell work on people, exes, ex-family members, you know, divorce cases. It has surprised me, and it doesn't surprise me anymore. And now there are more and more people that are becoming energy aware and are beginning to play with energy in a way that is not in alignment with divine law, meaning they might not really know what they're doing, but they are setting intentions and using ritual around candle magic, intentions towards others. They are breaking karmic laws, so there is consequence. But additionally, it is creating harm. So they are breaking the divine laws, meaning they're influencing somebody else's free will because they are sending deliberate harm towards someone else. So there is cause and effect. There's karma. There's something that they will receive back. That doesn't stop it. That doesn't mean that you pretend that, you know, it's not happening. We have to look after the thing that we have, you know, control over, and that's our own energy field. And that is, you know, taking responsibility for the fact that we are not available to have, you know, somebody's influence blocking our path. So in a world where we've had the knowledge of magic erased, it's still being actively used. It's in every single system, every single culture, you know, and in some areas where the money system came in, like Babylon and Egypt, it was rife, it was very powerful, and that magic doesn't disappear. That's why, you know, it's literally written on the temples. It's written all over the place because there would have been many ceremonies and repeating ceremonies charging that stuff up, and it remains in the buildings. It remains ongoing. And in our families, through maybe 10 generations back, you might have a curse that's going on that was a feud between two landowners or business owners or whatever it might be. That curse will still be influencing your line now. And part of the work that I do is getting to the root so that we can remove it, not just for the individual and their business and their lives and whatever's going on, but for the whole ancestral line. Everybody gets to be freed from this stuff. So when we're coming up against upper limits, not just in, you know, what we think is possible, we may also find that there's certain restrictions with our ancestral line where we are breaking the generational curses, where we as women are choosing to live differently to our ancestors, and then discovering that we just cannot seem to move past certain things. That often has some energetic charge from other, you know, trauma experiences, things that have happened to them. You know, they were less consciously aware than we are. Therefore, projections, anger, and doing this stuff was still happening the same way it's happening now. It's just now we're becoming aware of the energetic consequences and how it then plays out for us. So when we're looking at things like money curses, what you might be like, oh, that I don't get, you know, there's none of that happening. I invite you to have a look. What's the pattern that you have that's in correlation to your family? So it might be that in your childhood, your parents went through, there was a recession, maybe there was a bankruptcy and there was an issue with business or money or something. That often can be curse related, that has then been a pattern that's come in through other ancestral lines. And then when you get to the certain age that your parent was when they experienced it, it will become active for you. So these things are not fully active all the time. They will come in at certain points because you were part of that experience in your childhood, even unconsciously, because we often are, you know, responding to our environments as children, believing that often we're the fault, you know, for our parents being unhappy or whatever's going on. So we have a frequency of blame, self-blame. So we take on unjustified karma. So we take on the energy charge of that event as something for ourselves, and then we end up later on repeating it. So there might be patterns of, you know, making the money, losing the money, feast and famine. Be certain patterns around not being able to earn over a certain amount. You get to this cap and you just, whatever happens, there is something going on and you can't move past it. It's always energetic, and it may not even be yours, but you are carrying it. And that means you don't shift it. Firstly, you won't move past where you are, but also you hand it down to your children. So this work is, you know, you hear about people talking about ancestral work or generational trauma work. This isn't just mapping out the pattern. We actually have to shift the energetic stuff that has come through both epigenetically and energetically, because it will play out. So given that we are going through this huge period of conscious awareness, and all of our pieces are coming up to be, you know, illuminated and really alchemized, this is playing out in our day-to-day. This is not like hobbyist, random stuff. Nothing's by coincidence. If you end up in a certain system or industry, you've got connections at a soul level with those you've been attracted in to work with. So that gives you the freedom then to start to clear out the stuff that's influencing you, so you can create a new path. So we're going to have a look at this one. So this one is showing a few little bubbles. So that is negative energy picked up on. And there's also spikes coming in. So that is other people's energy attempting to come into my energy field. There's some bubbles there as well. There's no faces. I can't see that this is coming from one particular person. But what it's showing me is that energy has been taken by the egg, and that has been removed from my field. Now, obviously, with the work that I do, I am using energy hygiene practices on a very deep level, because I'm working with people that are working through these things like trauma. I'm doing group work with large groups. Therefore, I need to ensure that the group field is pristine, safe, balanced, that everybody isn't projecting against each other and taking on other people's stuff. The field is clear so that we get better results quicker, because we're just not in that soup. It means that when I come into these spaces, I take control of the space by clearing the energetic field so that I can step in and be my highest self. I'm not going to be swayed by somebody, whatever's going on in their field at this time. So that, and I will pop some, a very quick way of being able to do this on my Alara Dawn LinkedIn page and everything as well. This is something you can do like regularly. And if you have something that is perhaps much more extreme to this, it might look like cobwebs all the way over the egg. It's showing you this thick energy, this thick negative energy that's been influencing you in your field. If it smells, that is negative spirits that are around you. There's lower vibrational spirits that are around you. So what we do with this, we read it also from the side. We don't put our head over and look down, because we can take some of the energy back in. We are going to flush this down the toilet with a handful of salt. And then those glasses, if you're going to use a glass, do not obviously start drinking out of it afterwards. It needs to go in the dishwasher, be cleaned, or keep one glass with the intention that it's being used for that purpose, and keep that out the way of everybody else. So that is a way that you can start to understand, have I got some negative energy? I mean, like literally, even if you don't believe in any of this, go and do a little bit of homework. This is actually something that is becoming more well known how to do it. And I just find it quite fun, because it's a way of showing a difference. If you had that big, thick cobweb, the guidance is you would do another cleanse. Now, if there's a lot going on in there, that's where you need the deeper stuff, because it's the invitation that there's something there that has access to you, your business, your money flow, whatever else. And we need to get in and actually clear those root things. And then you don't have any of the interference coming in. And you will notice that there will be a shift. You will notice the flow happens once more, because anything that is energetically negative that's influencing you is blocking your flow of abundance, prosperity, love, joy, happiness. It's holding your vibration down. We know that the highest vibration we can hold is like the love, the bliss, the pleasure, the joy. It's quite hard to do that when we're in fear, anxiety, and chaos and scarcity. And if you are around other people that are massively triggered in scarcity, you are going to often entrain to their energy field, meaning you start to pick up on it. So these tools are ways for us to be able to navigate life where everybody is where they need to be and what's going on in their experience. And that means that we need to be the one that comes back to ourselves every single time. If you are also a practitioner, so you might be a psychotherapist, you might also be somebody that is an executive coach that is going in and doing seminars, workshops, teachings, the results that you get will be accelerated if you are able to go in there with your own energy field in harmony and clear, but then you also know how to manage the field in these spaces, because everybody will be more present and be able to actually hear, listen in a grounded, harmonious way that they can't when they go in there dragging the stuff that they are, just come off the phone, run to the meeting. Right, I need to be in this workshop now. Oh, I've got, I wonder what that email is happening. I wonder if he's responded to my whatever. They're not present. These are things that we can actually get better results in our workplaces and with our clients in a psychotherapy perspective as well. Also, if you're a psychotherapist, you really do need to have energy hygiene tools, because whatever is going on in that space between you, even if you are thinking, I'm just like, I've got my practices, I just meditate it away, there's deeper pieces there that play out, and you then take that into your home, you take that into your relationships. I work with, I've got a practitioner training. So I've actually just opened up a 9-month practitioner training where the women that are in that are psychotherapists. And actually quite a lot of them are very senior leaders in finance and healthcare. So they are going in as the ones that are the decision makers. They are going to be in many different spaces, in many different, groups. And they've been working with me over the past few years. And they're now at a stage where they're ready to go through the initiation to be able to actually hold these spaces differently and be able to lead in a very different way. So this is something as well. Part of that is being able to set up these spaces and do it very, this isn't like bells and whistles. There's certainly none of this. This is literally to be able to show you something. I don't need tools to be able to go in and change the state of the space that I'm in. That comes with the trainings and the initiations that I've been through, and that is how they will be learning, because it's embodied. It's not getting a book. It's not something that a step 1 to 5. It's embodied. I have to be able to read and know what is in the different field and what is coming into this space, and know how to get rid of it, and know when there's been something's taken the harmony balance out of the space. So that's on a very kind of like high level. But what I'm sharing with you is like, if you want the results and you want people to be receptive and you want people to be present, you've got to also look at the energetic state, the energetic space that they're in, what they're bringing into that space. And this is not something that's mindset based, because the mind is one tiny aspect of what is going on. Energetically, there are some other pieces that are actually creating that racing that we can really work with. So my work is 360 transformation. It's mind, body, soul, and energetics. I know that at root cause, everything happens in the energy field first. Therefore, if I shift things at the energy field, we naturally will shift in the outer response to that. It's from that space that we can do the training, the teaching, the opening up to new possibilities, because you can't shift when you're in a lower set point, and that is your natural set point. This is not about trying to shift your vibration through moving either, or just breath work. Those are tools, but this is going deeper. So my work is always about, how do I permanently shift the set point? Because there's no point. If you need to do 20 different steps to actually make yourself feel better, that's a band-aid. So we need to get to the root, which is very simple when you actually know what you're looking for and what's the root cause of certain things. That will mean that people get bigger transformation quicker, and they can then also start to incorporate those tools themselves in their day-to-day, teach their children, bring it into their teams, start to see better results because they have more energy and they're not being drained by using social media. They're not worrying about having to be so visible and feeling the energy of other people. They're not also, if they're getting trolls, if you're online, there is so many people that are in very different emotional and consciousness levels of states. The old keyboard warrior, that is still an energetic influence in your field and business. So use the block button, but also use energy hygiene. I don't get engaged with that kind of stuff. Like, I will not entangle my energy in somebody that doesn't really need to, I don't need to be communicating with. So again, it's like, it's showing us our own personal boundaries. It's showing us what and who we're allowing into our field. It's showing us our personal power to choose. I know how amazing I can feel, but I also know how easy it is to get pulled into other people's way of being, way of thinking. And, you know, the people that I'm working with, they are the conscious leaders of the future. They have been doing their inner work. They've done the know thyself. They've often gone through a level of transformation in their lives, and they've had to rise from the flames. So they've got an awareness of themselves. They kind of know their patterns. I know how I used to live. I know that I did that for XYZ reason. I know that those were my coping mechanisms. I know it, but I'm also going to look under the bonnet. It's not just the knowing. The knowing is the first part. That's the awareness. That's where the talking therapy and maybe some mirroring comes in. We really need to look at what's energetically going on and how your energy field is still responding, even if you know it all. This is the thing. There's so much information out there, but it doesn't shift anything unless we do the work ourselves. This does not need to take lifetimes. This is work that will be very important for the future of business, and also ensuring, you know, having a level of accountability for our wounds. Are we projecting it out? Are we poisoning the next generation of our children because we're just not breaking the patterns that we've come in with? It all sits and starts with us. And energy hygiene is a really quick way that we can make big changes. And tools that also, you know, the mums in my group, we've actually taught this to their children. So their children know how to hold better boundaries, energetic boundaries. They know more of who they are often than some of the adults, because they're being taught from that space. And it's not coming from a place of fear. How empowering is that? Our children get to really hold their own and not take on the projections of others. Most of what we are taking on from literally birth to age 22 is the main template of programming that we then go out in the world and we're just creating through all of this stuff. When we start to unpick that, we then start to shift out of the limitations that energetic consciousness holds in us, because we've taken on the projections of our own. The inner critic is the voice of your mum and dad that will be the fragmented aspects of self that will animate as the imposter syndrome. We've got terminology, but let's go deeper. Let's remove the actual energetic stuff that is showing up for us. I work with female founders that are going in to many of these big groups and having to pitch, and often it's going to bring all your stuff up. It's going to bring up who's the denominator that you need to get funding from? Who do they remind you of? You know, are you going in there and there's actually unconscious stuff that's playing out around your relationship with money and men, daddy stuff. And when I mean that, I mean like authority. Perhaps there's an unworthiness, there's needing validation and approval. And often what I'm also seeing is to the degree that people stealing other people's ideas. I mean, like literally all of the things that have played out in your dynamics of the people that you've come into contact with, they are the gold that when we start to pick it apart, we can understand why we've attracted that in. What is it we're holding? What is it that we're showing up with that's creating this? I want to go into different circles. I want to be around other people. We need to do some of this inner alchemy, and then those doors open, because we're energetically aligned to those people that are going to be, you know, in circles that are more aware of who they are, and are aware also in those spaces where somebody is coming from we call it the lower self, the triggered self, the wounded parts. Most of the people that are at we call it the top of the pyramid, the hierarchical models that we're in, all of that lack of empathy, lack of awareness, it's all of the unconscious bias, but it all links into the unconscious woundings that they hold, their perception of the world, the small circle that is the control system. So when more people, when your staff, when your teams, when your colleagues start to do their inner work, it's going to be very hard for them to be in environments and work for managers that don't have the same depth and level of self-awareness. And that is where we also have an unseen risk of people leaving. So the future is know thyself. The future is energy, frequency. It starts with ourselves, and then you get to choose. Because this is another thing. If you've been kind of like ground down in this programming of there's not any other options, scarcity, like I have to stay in this job because, you know, the markets, there aren't any other jobs. Your vibrational frequency is the set point of what you're attracting at the moment. You go in and do some of this deeper work, you become a new higher set point, you open a new timeline, you start job hunting from that frequency, everything in that new timeline is possible for you. This is why my clients are getting job offers with decent pay offers on top as well. The market might program one message, but that's a belief system. It doesn't have to be your belief system. When we're working in the energetic field, this isn't just all magic wand. This obviously they're walking their talk, they have the proficiency, they have the expertise, but they are also expanding into who they actually are. And they are from that energy, that cleared energy, not coming from unconscious wounded parts that are keeping on repeating these same experiences. This is our power. This is the walking warrior is the one that is willing to go on their own hero or heroine journey and transform all that has been placed upon them as limitation, to come into their truth, to know that they can rise again, to know that they can. There's never ever only one answer or solution. There's never ever just one job solution. We are infinitely abundant, and this might sound all woo-woo, but like the more you start to understand the energetics and who you are and how you've been showing up, you realize that it doesn't take that much to open things up and start to live, not from the fears and limitations of your mother and your grandmother and all the women around you and what you've seen. You get to carve out a completely new trajectory for yourself. You get to be the one that is self-expressed, and it's going to be a journey. It's like rebirthing. Like I've pivoted so many times. Every time I do my inner work, and I'm always on like an initiation, and then that gets birthed through into what I could bring my clients through. Every time that's raising my frequency, it's opening me up to new people. I go away and I meet new people, and they just literally, it's like attracting, because it's from my set point. So this is working more in a holistic perspective than trying to work linear. And that's where the magic is. So if this has been useful for you and this has been helpful and you're curious, and you also would like to not only get a toolkit, but also some trainings to give you a deeper understanding of how your energetic set point is affecting your business, your money flow, the clients you get, whatever else experiences, that can be everything. But from the purposes from a business angle, I am also going to put the link in so that you can download that toolkit and get started. So it means that there's quite a deep energy clearing in there, which will actually shift things that you're not even conscious could be blocking you, but it will actually start to, it works in the quantum, which is the infinite field of potential, where there are all potentialities available to you. And when we start to work in that level and heal our energetic stuff that's going on, we can collapse timelines, meaning we start to create new possibilities and realities for ourselves a lot quicker. If you would like a quantum business session, I'm also going to put my booking link, and yeah, we can start shifting, actually identifying what's actually going on for you. Sometimes it is energy, but sometimes it is also, you know, your strategy, but also perhaps it's time for the upgrade. Perhaps you're not as passionate about it anymore. There is a new timeline available for you, and it's requiring you to let go of an old identity. It's requiring you to step into more fullness, to actually, it's another level of your soul contract, essentially. Often things get blocked around that time because it's about you being at a choice point. When we don't know that, we try and use all the other tools to figure out what's going on, and it's not working. Save yourself the time, the money, the stress, and the impact to your frequency. And I invite you to, step in, and we can, in 90 minutes, you'd have full visibility and clearing on all of that. So this is the future. This is the way forwards. And, you know, why do people go off and see a shaman for energy clearing? Well, you can do that, but I would rather teach you how to do these things yourself so that you have the toolkit to not be codependent on somebody else, but you're willing to learn. You learn through the experience, and then you are able to know when things are off balance. You can start to run your business differently, taking that into account. I will do regular clearings on money, business, all of these things to ensure that when I'm saying I desire more, want to go into something new, that I am aligning myself for that. So yes, if you're curious about this, or you also desire to step in and do some work around money, perhaps even your connection to worthiness, your body, because we create through this physical body. It's not just all in the head. So women are being called to look at the worthiness, the connection to our feminine energy, that balance within. If we're in a lot of masculine hustle, go, 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 we're out of balance. And that's going to affect in how we manifest. The feminine energy is a receiving energy. And knowing that, bringing that harmonization and balance in will shift everything around you. And it is also, we have to be in the feminine energy to tap into intuition, to be the clear guidance and get that drop in. You can't do that in hustle mode. You'll be projecting up and out through the third eye. It's an egoic, it's personal will, not divine will. So we work on things that will really get you locked into your personal power, rather than tuning into old wounds and projecting that as your reality. So this is exciting work. This is something that I'm now 7 years in with my business, working with people in all different industries across the world. I have to say the UK is quite behind with this stuff. My clients have mainly been Australia, US, South Africa, Europe for many years. But, you know, times are changing, and I know that this is really important for people that are in the industries that are going to be going through huge transformation, like finance, like myself that was in there. I've had lawyers, physicists, doctors, business owners, founders. It really doesn't matter, because you're coming in because you are ready to do a piece of deeper work that then goes on to affect you and everybody else. And that, for me, is my purpose, to be assisting women to transform the past stories, the trauma, the unconscious stuff that is affecting them and their lineages, because that is the awakening. That is helping humanity raise its consciousness. So we break these patterns and we don't bring them in. So I work in many different realms, shall we say, and also, you know, the business, the coaching world. It's very unique and it's bespoke for each individual. This isn't cookie cutter, because you're not cookie cutter. And they're realizing as well that this bespoke piece is really powerful, because you only really get that if you're beginning to know who you are, rather than all the guesswork and the blanket stuff, the generic. So thank you so much. I can see there's a few people on here. This will be up on my page for replay. And it will also be across Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. So also you may be able to get the replay on the Modern Day High Priestess, Alara Dawn, on YouTube. I hope this has been useful, and sending you all lots of love. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. And it is a new moon today. So this clearing is going to be really powerful to then go take some time out, decide what you would like to call in, manifest, create from a space of your most joyful worthiness level of self, where you know deep inside, if the desire is there, it's possible for you. Start to believe in that. Start to choose it. Start to reaffirm your worthiness of having a different experience. You've learned from what you've got. Happy days. We've experienced this. Thank you very much. I'm glad of the abundance of lessons that I've had, but now I'm ready for a new chapter. So that new chapter is, we're really going into that cycle at the moment. And the new moon is a day for manifestation of new intentions. So get clear and then start to put some actions every single day of how you are going to, in your physical, start to make those changes. That might be a job hunt. It might be going and get a makeover. It might be clear out in your house. It might be booking a session in to understand what are these blocks, so that you can actually see what you can't see and take some new aligned action that starts to get really quick results for you. So sending you lots of love. Take care. Bye-bye.